Yes. Good morning, good afternoon. So for those who have not heard yet, I got my promotion at work. Yes. So I have moved from supervisor to manager in my new job position. And this doesn't have anything to do with spirituality, but I just want to remind and encourage everybody that when your life is in chaos and at the complete stage of just a mess, always trust in just one day at a time. You're not going to understand why your life is a mess looking months ahead. You have to remain in that trust day after day that something is happening. This is happening for a fundamental purpose. So when I began this job that I'm in now, it was 7 years ago. I was fighting a court case and I was riding my bike 12 miles to get to work, just to work 6 hours on a part-time job. So I wasn't even a full-time. I had to get promoted to full-time and then get promoted to an associate and then get promoted to supervisor and then get promoted to manager. It's never been a straight path and it's never made sense trying to look months ahead. Looking back now at everything I've been through, it totally makes sense. And I just want to remind people of that. Always remain trusting in this experience. This moment is your greatest friend. This moment has everything taken care of for you. And this moment is pure, without any need for an effort, any need for a doing. And I've seen a lot of comments about my promotion with people saying, I can't believe that you work a job. I can't believe you've awakened and you've sold out and that, you work for a corporation or you've done this or you've done that. And let me just friendly remind people, spirituality is not so you don't have to escape life. Spirituality is not so you have to quit your job or move out of town. Spirituality is not about escaping, but enduring, being right there at the center of the experience and enduring, but not just merely trying to adapt or accept this is okay, but thriving, learning to thrive, learning to fully live and be alive, and have no need to check what time it is. How much time has passed? 10 minutes have passed, 30 minutes have passed. What need for there is of this? When you remain grounded in the moment is your best friend. The moment is a dear friend. But how many of us have met this friend? Have embraced ourselves as this friendship through this moment? We don't embrace this friendship because the mind's constantly trying to change it. The mind tells you that the company that is here right now is no good. And so I have to do something to improve this company, to improve the quality of this company. But the truth of it is you are already in the purest, the highest company there is. There's nothing you could do to become any more pure. And this is what scientists and a lot of people in spirituality are not realizing, is that to break through in spirituality, to die before death, you're not actually discovering something. You're not actually finding something. It's the something, you're materializing your enlightenment into a something. And you're saying, once that something happens, now I'm enlightened, now I am pure, I'm cleansed. But enlightenment is the pure absence of doing. There is no doer. There is nothing separate to this moment that needs to change, influence, or direct this moment. You are this moment. And that's why I say we're not even halfway there, because we still think we're human. It's still common sense to be human. And we need to remove this crutch from us if we want to see any growth, any progress. These words that we've met ourselves through don't exist. And so we've only met ourselves through illusion, through smoke and mirrors, through what can be changed. Therefore, once this is changed, at last we will not recognize ourselves, and death will be a tragedy. Because we have yet to meet ourselves as this dear friend, this dear moment. What is this moment? But see, we awaken and we say it's another day. We look at a calendar to tell us it's Saturday. So you're labeling the moment, you're defining the moment, you're putting a time to this moment. It's Saturday. So you base how you feel and what you do in accordance to the day. It's a weekend, so I can fully be alive today. There's no work. But remember, work is the mirror to your own self, what you make it, what you believe it is. So these people trying to escape work are not trying to actually escape work, they're trying to escape life. Work is what you make it. Work doesn't exist as the word. So when you go from home to work, you're not going from a place to a different place. You're in the same presence that called this one home and this one work. The two are one and the same because they are your presence. The only difference is you create more value through one presence and not the other. Home is where you thrive, but not at work. Work is where you are clock watching. 30 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed, an hour passed. You are not living at work. Contrary-wise, you are trying to die at work. You want to not exist at work. You don't want to be there. You want to be out of time. Which is why it won't be a tragedy when artificial intelligence starts replacing our jobs. This is so many people's greatest fears, but if you look at the quality of customer service over the last 10 years, it's done this. Because no one wants to work, no one wants to be there, and yet your greatest fear is something coming to alleviate you from having to be there. Artificial intelligence replacing your job is doing exactly what you want it to do. You don't want to be there. It's taking that position, that role from you. And so again, we say, this is threatening me, it's threatening my job, but look at what you are doing. You are complaining about your job. You don't want to be there. It's hell. You are enslaved. Right? This is what we say as a collective. We're enslaved to corporations. They're making us work. Right? But we don't realize there's no such thing as work. There's only play. What you've mistaken as work is play. I forget the exact quote, but they say, a clown doesn't take over a kingdom and have it become a kingdom. It becomes a circus. Likewise, if you give a child a position of power, he'll make it into a play, not work. He will not tell his associates, you have to go to work, you have to go to play. It's what you make it. It's perspective. And remember, you always have the dual perspective. So if this is hell, you're enslaved, it's torture, you're trapped here, always remember, you are the dual principle. So if you can look left, you can look right. If there is an evil, there is a good. If there is an enslavement, there is a freedom of liberation. You are the dual principle. Only you're choosing to look one way, through enslavement, through this and through that, through the darkness. This darkness serves a purpose, but you must be aware that you are the one doing it. You are the one projecting it, seeing it, perceiving it, determining it. You are influenced by it. You are it. You are the change you await. The seer and what's seen are one and the same. There is nothing separate to awareness here. And see, as I said, we're not human, which is why we don't understand ourselves through these terms we've created, we've made up. Consciousness doesn't exist. It's made up. It's the illusion. When you hear about gurus talking about life is an illusion, precisely what they're talking about. Consciousness is the illusion. Consciousness is the shadow to awareness. What that means is awareness comes first. You must be present, you must be aware. That's why in the Bible, God's name was I am that I am. I am represents the awareness that I am here. Before you are I am Jesus, I am this, I am that, you are I am. I am aware. Before you become conscious, you must be aware. And this is how the separate entity known as the ego comes about. And this is where the process of introspection comes in, turning your camera lens on itself and getting to the root of who am I? Everything we see and perceive and experience mirrors our foundational thought of I. Don't fall for the illusion of time. That is the trap. It'll have you scrambling and rushing from place to place, person to person, when none of it ever was. What makes an ego death so hard is, and I hear this a lot, is people finding out their family isn't real. And I'd like to address this real quick, because it's a total misconception. It's not that you're finding out your family is not real. We fall in love with the words that we use. And we must acknowledge that these words are projected through the mind, not these two physical eyes that you go and have a doctor look into and see what your two physical eyes project your inner eye, the mind itself, which means all the words you believe in as the word itself are truly shapeless. They don't exist. The mind shapes them, the mind believes in them, the mind projects them through these eyes. It is your belief that is fooling you. And that's all belief is your cleverly hidden way to disguise yourself, to hide you from yourself. You see, because if you believe, then you can't experience anything, but it is your belief that keeps you limited, that keeps you stuck. You are what gets in your own way. But all these words that we use don't exist. We project them from the mind. So again, today is the same day that it was 1,000 years ago and always has been. Today is the only day there has ever been. A lot of us say, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. True non-duality is about bringing every single thing into a unity of oneness and allowing you and all you know to be swallowed by, consumed by that oneness. You are not separate to it. You are not an exception to it. You must go with it, along with all that you know. So you must think about these words that we use. From the word, when you speak of yourself, the word myself, that's a title that we fall in love with, myself. The word mother, that's a title we fall in love with. Father, sister, brother, family, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, best friend, these are titles we fall in love with. So when people say their families aren't real, it's not that they're not real. You are seeing the separateness between you and family shedding from you. Family is a title, it's a classification. It doesn't exist. It's known through you based on your relationships with these people, but remember, these people were you the whole time. So at the end of the day, when family is dying and leaving you, it's not that your family is dying and leaving you. You have fallen in love with the word, with the title, with the form, which again, you are only seeing yourself through because your mind is what you're seeing through. So when you fall in love with the image, with the word, you are falling in love with what is bound to change. The source to all things are right within your heart. The heart keeping, let's just say, the person you call your mother alive or your father alive, their beating heart is your beating heart. And they are not limited to a body, nor are you. So when their heartbeat stops, that does not mean they have ended or they have died or they have stopped. Misconception. You have fallen in love with the wrong thing. They are still present, and they are still present now. Because the moment is all there is. We're falling in love with the wrong thing. You know ahead of time this will all be exchanged for something else. But what you say is, I want to spend all of my money on this. Knowing this will be exchanged, this will be returned to nothingness. But you've already invested all of yourself into it, which is setting yourself up for tragedy when it's time to die. When it's time to part ways with all these titles, you will be a train wreck. You will try holding on to these concepts because that's how our ego exists, is in pieces. You know, you think you're just Tyler, you think you're just your job description and your bodily description or your personality traits, but you're not. You exist in pieces. I exist through my family. I exist through my job and my work relationships. I exist through the places I go to and the familiarity of what I know. You exist in delicate pieces, and each one of those pieces are retracted. So for instance, the places you go to are slowly retracted from you. You've never been to the store, you've never been to work, you've never been home, you've never been to your family's house, you've never been here. Why? Because all these places are one presence. And that's what the metaverse is doing. It's taking all places that you thought to be separate, bringing them to one presence. That is the singularity. You are inevitable. There never has been a human here and never will be. It's a misconception. You are inevitable. So what we have mistaken as artificial intelligence is only showing us the singular self. Is only showing us the parts of ourself we're unfamiliar and unknown with. Once we discover truly what artificial intelligence is, we will have found the alien, because the alien has been us. But the governments cannot disclose this to the mass of people. They cannot disclose they've found the alien. They cannot disclose they've hit the wall in space. They cannot disclose there's nothing behind black holes. They cannot disclose there's nothing beyond death. They cannot disclose these things because it would ruin the ending for you. You would not want to wake up and exist day after day, save up for things through your job, and exist in the same sense anymore. You are what you seek. The revolution is not televised. The revolution is not an event exterior to you or outside of you. A revolution is not thousands of people taking to their city streets and destroying or rioting for a purpose. That's not a revolution. Just like we've been sold the idea of the alien being this green guy, you've been sold the idea that a revolution takes place through the city streets. Which is exactly why when people do this, they get shut down like animals. That's not a revolution. It's quite the opposite. When you do this, and I've told people the literacy of this is the literacy of what I'm saying. You could go out, obviously during a sunny day, and start fighting your shadow that's on the pavement. Start grabbing your shadow, start trying to lift it off the cement, start trying to fight that, because that is the literacy of rioting and trying to start a revolution through your own city. You've been sold this concept of a revolution. That's not what a revolution is. Revolution is the complete abolishment, the complete transcendence of every single principle, government, law, and mandate here. You are all of it. You are what's behind all of it. And you will inevitably discover this for yourself. So again, you can die fighting, but it will only be yourself you fight. Or you can die surrendering. It will only be yourself you're surrendering to. But many people aren't willing to surrender, to let go. Because what that entails now is now you must face this point of no return. If I actually let go, I will be lost forever. I will reach a point of no return. And yes, you will. You will reach the true revolution which very few have dared to tread on and to cross. Again, I say this all the time. The Buddha achieved a revolution. And if all these people were ready to experience a revolution, why aren't there more Buddhas? Because the word revolution is a misconception. We've been sold a false concept of what a revolution is. The Buddha showed you perfectly what a revolution was. And it's funny, you go out and you see Buddha pendants, Buddha tattoos, Buddha charms, Buddha this, Buddha that. These people don't know Buddha. These people don't know his quotes. They don't know his message. They don't know his teaching. They wouldn't dare do half of what Buddha did. So why represent the Buddha? What he represents is the one who dared to do what no one else was willing to. The great thing is, every single person, every one of us can be a Buddha. Everyone. There is no, it's too late. Everyone, anyone can be a Buddha. So I'm not saying it's not possible. Very few have dared to go that far with themselves, to truly transcend through their mind and reach that point of no return. Very few have been willing to surrender and face that point of unfamiliarity, of uncertainty, where you are terrified. But you realize through that moment, through the existence, you are taken care of. A Buddha cannot be disturbed by what is to come next. And that's what I've tried telling people. If this pandemic has dampened your experience or has made things more difficult for you, 2022 is not getting any easier. We're not moving into less resistance or things getting easier. We're getting everything that we've been asking for. This is what the spiritual community is begging for. You have all these people talking about 5D ascension and all this stuff. No one can explain in depth what this means. No one can explain in depth how this happens, because these people have not yet experienced 5D ascension. They don't know what these terms mean. These are decorated words for the spiritual community to sell people. When you are ready, you will know, because you will leave all these terms and all these decorated words behind. You won't want the word, you will want the experience. You won't want to understand through logistics, through paper. You want to understand the experience. So yes, I can quote Jesus and all his quotes of the kingdom of heaven is within, and I am you, and I am this, but I'm not experiencing this directly from myself. I'm sharing your quotes, your experience. At what point do I begin to experience this? At what point do I begin to understand all this? We're all one. It's all connected. Leave behind everyone else's growth. Leave behind the world and everything else. It does not matter. Yeah, and I can successfully say, I've been saying this for a year now, but the superstitions and spirituality have far surpassed the religious superstitions. When you say that, you need to really think about what I'm saying. Really think about what you're saying. People in the spiritual community have left religion. You moved into spirituality because your religion, what you were told, taught, didn't make sense, didn't feel good, didn't resonate, right? Too many discrepancies, too many superstitions, too many things that aren't there, right? We exchanged that. We left that behind because it's not right. We know it. You're convincing yourself there's something there that's not. You're driving yourself to a church building when there's nothing that's in there. That building is the same as the building across the street, right? But now you have people in spiritual community that are telling you, you have to go to this shaman, to this guru, to this teaching, to this lecture. That's the same as going to a church building every Sunday. You have to return to this guru. You have to return to this medicine. You have to return to this ceremony. You have to return to this retreat. That is why I shared the video from Tyler Durden. Hitting rock bottom is not a weekend retreat, and it's not a seminar. This is not something you do for 3 days and then you return to your life the way it was. True spirituality leaves the life you knew behind. It is a point of no return where you do not return, you do not come back. That whole option of returning is gone. And I know some people would say, well, I want it to be my choice of whether I come back or not. That's not what I mean. The whole needing and wanting to return or come back, eliminated. Why need I come back if I am that I am? So you see, these people returning to the gurus, to the ceremonies, to the medicines, to the videos, the lectures, they have yet to realize what I am that I am means. You can share the quote all day, but it will still not allow you to directly experience this for yourself and understand what it means. You can share the quotes, we're all one. You know, this is a veil. This is a matrix. You can share these things. You have yet to experience them from within. Leave these words behind. Look at what they're pointing you to. The words are showing you the way to the experience itself. Don't cling to the words. Don't memorize the words. They're not going to help you. They're pointing you to the experience. That's possible right through yourself. You don't need any assistance, any middleman to experience. You are the experience. You have people in religion. They're waiting for this man to descend from the sky. And again, a lot of people in spirituality will laugh at that and say that's rubbish. That makes no sense. It's foolery, you know? And they'll even go a step further and say this: you are what you seek. But have they found what they've sought yet? No. So we're exchanging one superstition for another. We're leaving one religion behind to pick up another. And this is one thing I've tried telling people. Be careful you don't put down your ego and pick up another one. Because all these things that we're doing are a reinforcement of the very ego we're trying to rid of. We're trying to be rid of. When you're charging crystals in the moon or under the moon, you are reinforcing the ego. You are reinforcing the ego that you are not. Because the ego is under the assumption that if I fill these crystals with something, it will bring me energy, it will bring me luck, it will bring me something I don't already have. It will fill my home with something that's not already there. Now tell me what the difference is between that belief and the belief of church being filled with this presence, this Jesus presence. It's no different. You're filling a church building with a presence in the same way you're filling your home with the presence of this crystal charge that you've charged the crystal with, or whatever it is. They're the same practice. They're not separate. You can argue and fight that they're separate. They're not. It's the same practice, the same doing. You've exchanged one for another. The point to spirituality is not to return. This is why I tell people to be careful about people selling you something. If you're a customer, you must come back. I need you to come back to keep this business thriving. So if someone is selling you something, be very cautious. Use your own discernment. The purpose of you paying someone is so that they do not need you to come back. That was the process of Buddha. If he awakened you, if he showed you to yourself that you are him, why would you need to come back? He's eliminated all separations between you and him. You now know, leaving his land, you are the Buddha. So what in your mind would incline you one day, I need to turn around and walk back to Buddha's land to discover myself again? You wouldn't. Because enlightenment only happens one time. Death only happens one time. And awakening only happens one time. It doesn't happen throughout a course of days or months. One time, in one moment, one instantaneous moment, you can taste death. You can die 1,000 deaths and totally shatter the birth-death cycle. In one moment, that's a breakthrough. That's breaking through to the other side, to realize there is no other side. There is not this side and that side. There is just the presence of life, of existence, pure existence. That's what this is, pure existence. And it can't be anything but. You can't assign a word to this because it will be changed. The moment is not changed. All our words, all our forms, all our stories will be changed. This moment reveals to you pure existence, that which it cannot be changed, that which is beyond change and beyond form. Yeah, exactly, Paul. I like your comment, Liz, and that's exactly my point. Paul said, every day is just another day. And Liz said, no, Paul, not every day is just another day. You see, it's not just another day. Today is the day you've been waiting for your whole life. And it always is. Every waking day, you're alive and present. This is the day you've been waiting for your whole life. All your dreams are based on this one moment right here. Your whole life, you've dreamed 1,000 dreams, and you've yet to even touch a dream that's as perfect and pure as this right here. You've had all the power in your dreams. You've had all the creative abilities, if you wanted, to go ahead and create something better than this. And you still couldn't, because all your dreams lead you up to this final dream. This is it right here. This is the dream. This is the ultimate dream. This is not just another day. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for our whole lives. This. It's right here. It's right now. It's always now. It's always here. It is not changed. That is the beauty in the moment. It reveals to you your truest face. And that is how I personally remain grounded. I stay with the moment, not with my mind. Not with my mind and what's moving all the time. I stay with the moment. The moment is not changed. My mind will change throughout the next hour. My mind will change 20 different times on thoughts or things. But I'm not my mind. I witness my mind. I witness these thoughts, right? I witness these thoughts as awareness. But I am no longer the consciousness of these thoughts. I am the awareness, the source to thought itself, the source to word itself. Therefore, I can watch these thoughts with amusement because they don't exist. I am not these thoughts. They can be the scariest thought in your mind. I am not that. Why torment myself with that? I am not that. I do not live that. It's not what I am. Remain grounded in the moment. This cannot be changed. That is your grounding point. What changes is not real, and what's real does not change. The only thing they know that we do not is ourselves. They know that there is no alien. They know there's nothing in outer space waiting for us. But once again, they are the guardians of this dream. They are the protectors of this dream. They are keeping this dream going. It is up to you to see beyond they and eventually realize your own self as they. You are them. Which means it's always been you hiding you from yourself. It's always been you creating these marvelous stories, not to lie to yourself, because these stories serve a purpose. Again, they're keeping a lot of people alive simply through their illusion of comfort and control. Which is why this pandemic has surfaced so much rage and depression. This pandemic has made it very clear that your control and your comfort can be taken from you very easily. But all this pandemic has reminded us is that it's never been ours. Your comfort and control have never been yours. Death has always been a certainty, so why did it take a pandemic to disturb us from this comfort and this control? Because one day or another, death is going to come knocking and take that control and comfort either way. But the difference was we had to remain alive in the form to face ourselves. We had to be locked down and mandated, right? And so we had to move with this body instead of just dying and letting death take care of everything and change us for ourselves. That's not what death is. Death doesn't change you. And that's why so many people think, well, I'll just commit suicide, I'll kill myself, because it's an escape. It's a way out. But it's not. There's nothing beyond death. It's you, and it always has been. You're not escaping anything. There is nowhere to go. That's why I tell people, you must understand what a fractal pattern is showing you. A fractal pattern showing you in the microscopic atom in the macrocosmic universe. The pattern repeats. And there's only one fundamental reason that pattern repeats, from the above into the below. Or from the above into the below. Because it's always been you. There is no space exploration and atomic exploration. It's you. It's all you, whichever way you look. You are leading you back to yourself. Scientists have already hit this wall. And again, I've said, this is why they had to put out this news article that NASA had a probe touch the sun, which is complete nonsense. We've never touched the sun, we've never touched the moon. And it's just like that quote. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there's a quote that says, I'm just like a dog. It's actually from the Joker and the Batman. But he says, I'm just like a dog chasing a ball. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I caught it. And again, we don't think how deep that quote is, but really think about that. I'm like a dog chasing a ball. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I caught it. We are no different. What would have Alice done with the white rabbit if she caught it? You wouldn't know what to do with it if you caught it. What would man do with God if he caught it? You wouldn't know what to do with it. Precisely the point. You are the it. There's nothing to catch. You can't catch it because it is already you. The faster you chase it, the faster it evades you, the faster it runs. There is no touching the sun or the moon. This is nonsense. The faster you try and reach out to grab it, the more it pushes back and pushes back. That's precisely what a fractal pattern is showing you. If you've ever seen a pattern with a spiral that spirals down into oblivion, and it repeats until infinity, it's showing you just that. You can try and reach into that spiral and grab that final point at the end of the tunnel, but your hand's just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, never reaching that final point. Because there is nothing to catch. You cannot catch it. You are the it. And that's why I said previously in this video, we've materialized our awakening into something to be caught. We're trying to catch something, and it's a something that we've materialized. So once I catch it, once I get it, then I'm whole. Then everything makes sense. Then now I am God. But we're not actually waiting for something to be caught or discovered. We're waiting for something to be realized here. That is when the breakthrough happens, when you realize, not when you actually catch something or discover something, but when you realize for yourself. You've been through 1,000 rabbit holes and you weren't in any one of them, because you are ultimately what you seek. There never was a rabbit or a rabbit hole. These things have been leading you into the abyss of infinity, not for you to discover something, but for you to realize something. You are it. And that's why it leaves you in these abyss, these voids of infinity, so that you do feel lost and you do get lost, only to find yourself on the other side as something so much more. The greatest example I can use is Neo and Smith. Why just be Neo or why just be Smith when you can be the whole Matrix? Mr. Anderson was going into the Matrix world to discover who he truly was. And he thought that he was truly Neo, the chosen one. But why just be Neo, the chosen one, when you can be the Matrix, the entirety? So it's just like I said, you're going into something expecting just to be Neo, or God, what you think to be God. Just that. And you come out as the entirety, totally understanding what God is and why. You don't understand you're already it. Why you don't know you're already the living expression of God. It's like what Alan Watts said, the Godhead is never the head of its own knowledge, just as a knife doesn't cut itself. You must appear separate at first, at the beginning, but that's what the beginning is for. To reveal to you that which has begun, that which is likewise ending. But reality is not beginning and ending, appearance and disappearance, here and there. Reality is the source to these two things. So if you have appearance, disappearance, there is a source to both of those things. And it doesn't have a word. That's where the ego has a hard time. It doesn't have a word. It doesn't have an expression. There is nothing to express it. It is the entirety. It is the everything and the nothing. There is no word or no logistical sentence you can create to capture it. It cannot be caught. And the moment you squeeze your hand down to catch it, you'll open your hand with nothing but dust. It never was. Because it is beyond your conception. It is beyond you. Your experience is the direct source to it. I'm going to end this video because I have a busy day, very busy day ahead of me today. I got a lot of cleaning and stuff to do. But I will try and be live again. Now that I've got this promotion, though, I probably will not be live as often as I was before. I mean, because I'm going to be putting in close to 60 hours a week. I was already doing about 50 hours as a supervisor, so now that I'm a manager, I'm probably going to be doing about 60 hours. So I may not be on here as much anymore. My presence may not be on here as much anymore, but presence is all pervading, all permeating. It's all around, right? So my presence is this presence, is your presence, is all this presence. It's all one presence. Just remember the message. And remember, don't try and escape life. Don't try and escape your job, your work. Remember, work can just as easily be called play. And the same attachments that you have to the word play, you could attach to the words work. It makes no difference. The only difference is you've decorated the word work with all these negative assumptions, associations, feelings, emotions, and now when you say I have to go to work, it's a bad feeling. Ugh, I don't want to be there. The value of work versus my home is a lot different, you know. I can't wait for this to end. When really, it's what you make it. You could be going to play. I consider my job, my workplace, my home. Because again, I live my message. Home is nowhere. Home is nowhere because home is everywhere. As I say, the presence that fills my home when I'm here is the same presence that fills my job when I'm there, because it's all my presence. What I call my house and what I call my job is only my presence assigning these places names. But these places aren't the names I assign them. It's not home and work. That presence is this presence. This presence is that presence. I can always be home. Even when I'm working 60 hours a week, I'm home. I'm not suffering at my job. I'm not saying I'm enjoying every waking or second and minute of it, but I'm not trying to escape the clock. I'm not trying to escape or actually leave this place because, again, I know I can leave here, I can leave here. I'm not actually leaving the place. I remain in my presence. My presence is the place. So this is what I mean. I don't have an anxiousness to leave my work, to leave my home, to leave these places. These places are my presence. And once I fall in love with this presence, once I know this presence to be my best friend, my greatest companion, I'm always home. There's nothing that can take me from home. Namaste. I'll leave the donation link in the comment section, and if you have any comments for future videos, feel free to leave them on this video too.